Hello colleagues, this is Chris Hurd, Director of the Seaver College Center for Teaching Excellence, bringing you a video tutorial on sharing PowerPoint as video from a Macintosh. We may have a number of faculty members who would like to produce videos from their PowerPoints, adding voiceover and perhaps some other effects. However, there are a couple of things that make this tricky when you're working on a Macintosh or when you're working with PowerPoint software. Now, my reference to PowerPoint here is specifically to Microsoft PowerPoint. I am not using PowerPoint in the generic sense of slides. The steps I'm about to share with you are specific to Microsoft PowerPoint and do not apply to Apple's Keynote software. One of the problems we have when we're trying to share video from PowerPoint on the Mac is with regard to annotations that you might put on the screen. Now, in case you don't know this already, PowerPoint gives you the ability to annotate slides while you are presenting, and that's true for both the Windows and the Mac version. So down in the bottom left-hand corner, I don't know why it went backwards, down in the bottom left-hand corner, as you can see, we have this little pencil right here on the Mac version. If I click on that pencil, I can see various options along with their keyboard shortcuts. So I could, for example, change to a pen, and I could show you by circling these check marks that the Windows version and the Mac version are basically equivalent in functionality with respect to annotating slides while presenting. However, you will also see this big red X right here, which indicates that the Mac version of PowerPoint cannot record those slide annotations. You can do them live, but if you're trying to record your presentation, the slide annotations will be discarded when the file is saved. That may impede your ability to use PowerPoint for Mac in the way you want to if you're trying to export to video. Another serious problem that we have, and this affects both the Windows and the Mac version actually, is that you can only export your slides and your timing to video if you have an Office 365 subscription. If you got PowerPoint in some other way, for example, if your Tech Liaison installed it for you on your Pepperdine computer, or you purchased it directly in some way that does not involve a subscription, then the export to video options will not be available. I've already mentioned the issue with the annotations, but it's also the case that narrations that you record and put on your slides or other kind of embedded media are not exported to video, even if you do have an Office 365 subscription. So we have some curtailed functionality here. This is apparently built in by design, and that's going to really impede some of what you might want to do in terms of producing PowerPoint voiceovers. So we have a few different options. And what I'm going to share with you right now is what I think is probably the simplest option for people working on a Mac. It will not require any additional software other than what is installed on your Mac, assuming that your Macintosh is less than 4 or 5 years old at this point. So let's go ahead and end this PowerPoint slideshow and look behind the scenes at how we can turn this into a video. Now the tool that we're going to use to accomplish this is the QuickTime player, which is a part of the Macintosh system software. If you don't know where to find your QuickTime player, the easiest way to get to it is to go ahead and click on your Launchpad, type in Quick in the search field, and launch the QuickTime player. When you first launch the QuickTime player, it may prompt you to open an existing file. It's okay to just click Cancel, and we'll start recording here in just a moment. So queue up your PowerPoint presentation, and then switch to the QuickTime player. From the QuickTime player file menu, choose New Screen Recording, and you'll get this little window for a screen recording. You can see these bouncy bars right here indicate the audio input level from the microphone that I happen to be using. You should choose your microphone from this little drop down menu right here. So click on that little arrow. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this other device. And if you want little circles to pop up whenever you click on the screen, go ahead and check Show Mouse Clicks in Recording. Now this bar right here, this volume bar right here, represents the audio output through whatever output device you're using. So it's probably most advisable just to leave it all the way to the left. If you do increase that and you happen to be using your own external speakers or your computer's built-in speakers, anything that is audible in the room where you're recording, you're going to get some feedback, some echo at best, and nasty feedback at worst. So I would suggest you just stay away from those controls. So we begin our recording by clicking the red record button. You'll notice that you're prompted to click to record the full screen, drag to record part of the screen. If you happen to have multiple monitors, like an external monitor hooked up to a laptop, and they're not showing the same thing, then you can click in either screen, and that's the one that will be recorded. So I'm just going to click here in my main screen. You will notice that a new little icon has appeared in my menu bar. It looks like a square surrounded by a circle. That square I usually used as the stop button on many electronic devices, such as CD players, if you remember those, and Blu-ray and DVD players. So that's where we're going to click in a few minutes when we are finished. The reason I'm bringing it to your attention right now is we don't really want to get started until it has turned black. Initially it'll be gray. Once it has turned black, we can go ahead and begin. So now that we have initiated our screen recording, we can begin our PowerPoint presentation. Now you can narrate the presentation as if you were in front of a live audience. If you wish to use the annotation features, such as the pen, you can do that now. And then continue with the presentation, narrating each slide as you would like, until we have reached the end of the presentation. Now that you've reached the end of your presentation, you want to go back to QuickTime, back up here to the menu bar, and click the stop button. QuickTime Player will then open up a window with your recording in it. Now, of course, this recording has some things at the beginning and at the end that we don't really want our students to see, and so what we're going to have to do is trim it down. So we'll go to the Edit menu and choose Trim. We'll find the section that we actually want students to see and drag these little handles until we find just the right spot. This is a little bit of a blunt instrument, and so one of the things we might want to do is actually click within the yellow box to get the playhead. The playhead indicator is this orange bar, which we can drag back and forth and get a little bit finer view of where we are. So right about here is where we make the transition. That's about where I clicked on play from start. And then that gives me a little bit better understanding of where to put the beginning. And I want to do the same thing over here at the end. And then I can click trim. And now what we have is a nice video that just includes the parts that I wanted people to see. So let's play that to see what's there. And that's as much as we need to do with that. So now it is ready to be shared. The first thing we should do is go ahead and save our file. Well, maybe go ahead and verify that it's ending in an appropriate spot. Once we know it's beginning and ending in an appropriate spot, we want to save our file. I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the desktop, and I'm going to call it example, because I'm not really going to keep this around very long. So click Save. Great. Now, if we take a look on the desktop, by hiding the QuickTime player and hiding PowerPoint and hiding Chrome, we'll see that my new video is here as example.mov. .mov is the native format for QuickTime, but it's not super transportable among different venues. So we're going to need to change that over to an MP4. However, we can't just change the file extension. We have to actually convert the file. And there's a couple of different ways to do that I'll demonstrate to you now. If you're going to be sharing your video by means of YouTube, which is really easy to do because we all have Google accounts now, then you can let YouTube handle the actual conversion of your .mov file into a .mp4 file. This is really easy to do within the QuickTime player. So let's return to the QuickTime player, and we can go to the File menu and choose Share to YouTube. Now I've actually already put in my credentials and things here, but what you're going to see is something more like this initially if you're not already logged in. It's going to encourage you to sign in with your Google account. I will go ahead and do that. Please ignore the little prompt in the corner that wants me to use my keystroke expander instead. I'll type in now my long and very secure password. Select my Pepperdine account, allow Google to know who I am. They know who I am anyway since they're managing this account. And now I can just set these parameters. These are the kinds of things that will show up along with the video. So I'm going to change this to education. My title is going to remain example. I can give a description here, example of a shared video. I can tag it if I want to. I don't really want to right now. And I don't really want to make this movie personal. I want to allow my students to be able to see it, so I'm going to uncheck that box and then click Next. YouTube is going to remind us helpfully to make sure that we do have the copyright permissions to upload the thing we're uploading, and now I'm going to click Share. You'll see that the export progress box will hop up there. Because the video that I'm sharing, this little example, is very, very short, it's only going to take a few seconds to actually make the transfer. For a longer video, of course, you can expect it to take quite a bit longer. It also depends on your internet upload speeds. But let's go over now to Chrome, where I already have my YouTube channel brought up. But if you don't, what you need to do is go to youtube.com, click over here on YouTube Studio. If you're not already logged in to Google, you'd have to log into Google. In the left-hand menu column here, click on Videos, and you can see that mine has already come up. There may be some delay, especially for a longer video, as YouTube processes the video. Now you'll see that right now it's available publicly. The best thing to do, the thing I would recommend you do, is change it to unlisted. You don't want to make it private. Private means that only you can view it or specific accounts that you authorize. Unlisted means that it's not shown in the general population of YouTube videos. It doesn't come up in search, but you can share it with other people by means of a simple link, and you can embed it into your courses lessons tool or something like that, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to unlisted. And after I have saved it as unlisted, if we hover over it, this little tiny icon will pop up that says View on YouTube, and now we can preview. And that's exactly what we wanted to see. Alright, so now we can hide Chrome and go back to the QuickTime player. That is the simplest way to get that video shared out. Now all you have to do is, on this little stack of three dots, get a shareable link. The link was copied to the clipboard, it says down here. And so now we could embed that in courses or share that link out to students by email, and they would have immediate access to that video. Let's hide Chrome now, go back to the QuickTime player, and consider another possibility for how we might share out this video. It's possible that for some reason you may not wish to use YouTube as your delivery method. You may want an MP4 file that you can copy to a flash drive that you can upload directly into the course's resources folder for your class, or there may be some other considerations that you have. In that instance, what you're going to need is some piece of software that will help you convert the .mov file into a .mp4 file. There's basically two options that you have. One is to find an online service to which you can upload your file, which will then convert and let you download your file back to your own computer. The other is to download an app that will convert the file for you. Let me demonstrate both of those to you. So let's return to my web browser. And there are a variety of services, but one with a very easy to remember URL is cloudconvert.com. Cloudconvert.com. This is a free service. You can pay to get premium features, but for converting MOV to MP4, we really don't need those things. So we would just click here, click Select Files. We'll choose example.move. Open it up. It recognizes that it's a .move. We'll change here in the middle. We'll tell it the destination that we want is MP4. There are a variety of options that we can choose by clicking on the little wrench. And the main one that we want to look at is the video aspect ratio here right in the middle. We should probably go ahead and, I'm sorry, not the aspect ratio rather, but the resolution. It's probably best given the kind of use cases you're going to have. If you're wanting your own transportable file, you probably want to use it at either 1080p or 720p. If you're going to be delivering this to students on the internet by uploading it into courses or posting it in your Google Drive for students to access, you probably want to go ahead and limit yourself to 720p. Once it's all done, we'll click OK. If you click on Notify Me when it is finished, you'll get a pop-up notification when it's done. You can also choose to save the file directly to your Dropbox, your Google Drive, your OneDrive, or your Box account if you wish to do any of those things. I'm going to go ahead and leave both of those. Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and redo this. Sorry, I don't know what I clicked to make myself go to a different file. Must have clicked there instead of clicking away from it. So example.move, MP4, 720p, OK, start conversion. Now this is a little bit slow. You are uploading a rather large video file, and then they're processing it at the other end, and then they're going to send it back down. Now that looks like it's going at a pretty zippy pace. Do remember that the video that we're converting right now is only about 32 seconds long. And so you can imagine that a longer file, such as the 20-minute video approximately that you're watching right now, would take much, much longer to convert. So if you're happy to wait for that, then let's go ahead and wait for that. For right now, I'm going to hide Chrome and instead go over to the App Store for Mac OS. Now, as with online services, there are many apps to choose from. One that I happen to be familiar with is called ICSoft Video Converter Lite, spelled L-I-T-E. I recommend you go ahead and just type that into your search bar there. Now they have several different varieties. So we're going to scroll through this list a little bit. I'm sorry, but the one you're going to want here is the one called Video Converter Lite to MP4 MP3. Now I already happen to have it installed, so I can just click Open. If you don't already have it installed, you'll see a button here that says Get instead, but let's get that opened up and see how this works. I'm going to go ahead and hide the App Store there. Okay, and once the ICSoft, get it, ICSoft is open, the video converter is open, we can click on Add File, choose example.mov. We're going to save it out to example.mp4. Click on the little pencil there if you want to edit the title. If you want to edit other settings, come down to the bottom and click on Settings. And again, let's change this to 720p. Click OK and click Convert. Now, since this is processing right on my computer, it's going to be a good bit faster than the online service. As you can see, that is now complete. It completed in 9 seconds. Again, the running time of this video is only about 31 seconds, so maybe about 1/3 the length of the video in this case. Do expect it to take longer for longer videos. We don't need this anymore. Now we can see on my desktop that we now have an example.mp4 as well as example.mov. So now I could take this MP4, I could put it into the courses resources folder, I could put it into a Google Drive. I personally wouldn't recommend attaching it to an email, but you can put it in Google Drive and then attach a link within an email. So that gives you different ways to distribute that. If we check in over here, our conversion has now finished at Convert Cloud, and I could click Download to get that file, and it'll put it in my Downloads folder, wherever you have told your web browser to put your downloads. Colleagues, I sincerely hope that this video has helped you if you happen to use PowerPoint on a Mac and you wanted to produce videos for your students. If you still have lingering questions about how to implement the guidance given in this video, please email cte@pepperdine.edu.